How's it going, friends and family? My name is Zamos. I've been filming for an hour and 20 minutes, and this is part 2. But in this video, I'll be ranking the most popular stocks based on the GARP formula that I created, and my personal opinion I'll just go ahead and label as the cheese factor. It also includes, do they have an economic moat? What's their competitive advantage? Do they have growth catalysts in the future? So welcome to part 2, and let's pick up where we left off, and you'll notice that there's no company. We did 10 already. There's no company in the S tier, because that's gonna happen at the end of the video where I'll elevate the best of the best into the S tier. Let's talk about Meta. I just uploaded a deep dive video onto the channel, so if you wanna know more about them, go and watch that video. But their current trading multiple is a 29, their forward trading multiple is a 21, revenue growth is 21%, so it pretty much lines up. I think that looks pretty good. When we think about Meta, I think there's a lot of exciting things happening for them, right? Facebook Marketplace, Instagram, WhatsApp. But what I feel the most bullish about is their endeavor into the personal eyewear with AI infused into it, with the camera features and the ability to have stuff pop up right on the lens. I mean, they're even partnering with the biggest brands in the eyewear world, right? We have Ray-Ban, Oakley. I think this is really exciting. It's a game changer. And as of right now, Meta is going on a small little sell-off, but they are recovering pretty nicely, $650 a share. And according to the GARP formula, they should be $835 a share. So they're massively undervalued. Their future looks really bright. Their economic moat is really wide. By the way, I'm using the logo for Instagram because Meta is the parent company for Instagram. So when it comes to giving them a grade, I know this is going to be a scandal, but I think Meta belongs in the A tier. Again, if you want to know why I'm so excited about Meta, you have to watch the dedicated deep dive video about Meta that I uploaded. The next company that we are going to be covering is Palantir Technologies. Current trading multiple is a 420. No, I'm not making that up. It's right there on your screen. Their forward trading multiple is a 200. You would think maybe things would get better if you look at the forward trading multiple, but it's still ridiculously high. And they're currently $193 a share year to date, 155% into the green. Dude, that is just ludicrous. That almost sounds like a prank. 155% into the green. Do the numbers justify it? Their revenue is growing at a really aggressive pace. 47% year over year, but the valuation is at 420. I will say this though, I'm a pretty big bull when it comes to the defense contracting world. In my own personal portfolio, I'm going to be uploading a video about my biggest winners this year, but my best performing stocks were allocated in the defense industry. Oshkosh Corporation, Huntington Ingalls, Lockheed Martin. I love the military stocks. And as you can see on your screen right now, Palantir, their software and platform, it's being utilized right now across all the various intel agencies and cyber units in the United States military, but now they're also implementing Palantir into all of the United States Navy's ships. So when you think about their future, it looks pretty bright. Before we give Palantir a grade, just as a reminder, they trade for $193. They might even be $200 a share by the time you watch this video. The GARP formula says that Palantir should be fairly valued at $136 a share. They are so overvalued, but I can't deny their economic moat. Their cheese factor is so beautiful. I'm so bullish on Palantir. However, they are really overvalued. They're almost in the same territory as Tesla. But unlike Tesla, Palantir's numbers are just absolutely cruising and soaring year over year. So I don't think Palantir should be in the D tier. Matter of fact, I think Palantir should be right next to Costco. I'll go on record by saying Palantir, super high quality. It's just their valuation. It's not good for a GARP investor, a value investor, someone who wants to buy a stock with a discount baked in. Right now, overpaying for it, because I think truly 136. To see them almost be 200 kind of makes my head spin. I'm like, that's pretty crazy. The next company that we are going to be talking about is Alphabet. I'm just going to refer to them as Google, and they have a Class A and a Class C. I'm just going to be referring to the Class A. They're currently trading for about $300 a share. I have such positive feelings towards Google because for the past year, I was dollar cost averaging into my existing Google position like my life depended on it because I kept screaming that Google was undervalued. And sure enough, they were undervalued because they went up 63% year to date. And if you only consider since their April sell-off, they're up by 100+%. So nothing but love towards Google. I'm a huge fan of the company, the numbers that they're pulling off, but more importantly, dude, Google's my employer, right? Shout out to them for giving me $200 to $500 a month through YouTube. I don't get that many views, and that's why I make so little. But anyways, when you think about Google, I think there's a lot of exciting projects rolling out of them. They have a ton of moonshot endeavors that people don't pay attention to. I genuinely think Wall Street only takes into consideration the Google search line of business. But they're also the parent company of Waymo. They also make their own phones, the Pixel series, and at this point, they're the only true competitor to Microsoft's suite. So Word document, it's almost the exact same thing with Google Documents. So a 1-for-1. But when it comes to Google, what excites me the most about their future is YouTube. I've been making YouTube videos since 2005. I've seen all of the growth, all of the changes, all of the people that left the platform without saying goodbye. I've seen it all. When I first started, I was in middle school. Now I'm 35. As you can see on the screen right now, 2.5 billion monthly active users. And mind you, the platform is banned in China. So that's taking them out of the equation. So I would argue 1 out of 3, 1 out of 4 citizens of planet Earth, they utilize YouTube, and it's only growing by the day. Because when you think about it, YouTube as a platform, it's enough to replace the traditional TV format. You can hop onto YouTube for entertainment, to learn a new subject, or to even watch videos about the stock market. So having said all of that, they're currently $307 a share. And according to the GARP formula, the fair valuation for them, predicated upon their revenue growth, should be $308 a share. I think they're fairly valued right now. I love their economic moat. Their cheese factor is in the S tier. But are they trading for a good price? Are they a high-quality compounder on the discount? They're not. They're fairly valued. But they're not in the same territory as Costco and Palantir. So ultimately, when it comes to Google, it sounds so dirty and wrong for me to put them into the B tier, but they're also not undervalued like Meta, Microsoft, and Nvidia. So unfortunately for Google, let me see if I could just do it like this. They're gonna be hanging out right here in the B tier because I feel like we have a bunch of other companies to cover, and I feel like B tier is gonna be pretty crowded coming up. So B tier for Google. The next company is going to be Netflix. They just had a stock split, and that's why they currently trade for $94 a share. But year to date, performance is pretty bad. 5.9% into the green. Their current trading multiple is a 39. Forward trading multiple is a 30. $94 a share. And it seems like they're selling off day after day. And Netflix is a pretty interesting story because I remember ordering DVDs off of Netflix 15, 20 years ago. They pivoted their business model in order to stay relevant, and they started producing their own stuff in-house, and now they're considered the best pound-for-pound digital streaming service, except YouTube. Take a look at the amplification of their top line throughout the years. It's truly remarkable. I mean, I wish their revenue was still grew at a rate of 35% year over year or even 24%, but I think at this point, they reached market penetration. I think any potential customer of Netflix is already a customer of theirs, or they cut the cord and said, I don't want you anymore. So I think they're fully saturated. I think they acquired all the customers they're going to get at this point. Of course, they're still going to see thousands of people trickle in because even Costco's gaining new members every year. But for Netflix, they just announced that they were going to buy out Warner Bros. For $82 billion. And to be honest with you, I think this is a very good move for Netflix because now it gives them evergreen ownership and intellectual property of the DC universe like Superman, Harry Potter, and Scooby-Doo. And I think that's really valuable for them because for the longest time, I think Netflix had a lot of decent and excellent originals, but no real universe or franchise that people rally behind. But I feel like what I just said was a dirty lie because when I think about Squid Games or Stranger Things or some of their other hit shows, I think their reputation is just as high as the DC Universe and Harry Potter, but I think the point that I'm trying to get at is now it opens the door for them to make a new series about Harry Potter or a new series about Superman or Scooby-Doo. But anyways, currently $94 a share, and I think by the time you watch this video, they might even drop to like $88 or $85. Having said all of that, the GARP formula says that Netflix should be roughly 107. So they are currently undervalued. But when it comes to the cheese factor, I'm kind of conflicted. Because on one hand, I don't think they have an economic moat. As a matter of fact, the streaming wars is really, really fierce. Paramount, Hulu, Amazon Prime, YouTube. There's no moat. But I do think Netflix has this tendency to create a hit show after hit show after hit show. But on the other side of that coin, they also have the tendency to pull the plug on a hit series way too early. Like after season 1, they might not see the metrics they wanted to see right away, and they'll pull the plug. Shout out to Project 81, probably one of the best shows that I have ever watched in my 35 years of life, and they canceled it while leaving us viewers on a cliffhanger, and it kind of rubs me the wrong way. But anyways, I think they're undervalued. I think they have a bright future, no economic moat. Their chase factor is kind of up in the air. But having said that, if given the option between Netflix or Uber, everything else being equal, I'd probably go with Netflix. I think Netflix's future looks pretty cemented in stone. And I think now they're slowly opening up the path for them to go into the legacy and traditional format as well through the Warner Brothers acquisition. So I think their future looks pretty exciting. The next one is UnitedHealth, and I'm going to be honest with you, I've talked about them at length on the channel, so I'll just stop preaching to the choir. I'll tell you this though, UnitedHealth, they make up 23% of my portfolio. So I'm obviously a huge bull. Year to date, negative 35%. I bought into them right here at that 270x mark. So I'm in the green by a significant amount, and I love this company. Their current trading multiple is a 17. Forward trading multiple is a 19. The GARP formula says they should be $428. They are nowhere near that number. So when it comes to United Healthcare, I think their cheese factor is Parmesan, mozzarella. It's super high quality. I know this is a very polarizing business because some people hate them. They want them to fail. And other people, they recognize that health insurance is the reason why we're able to afford operations and surgeries and our medicine. Then again, it should go without saying that the healthcare system in the US, it's absolutely convoluted and we need reform. But I digress because I think UnitedHealth right now, they're probably one of the better deals out there. So I think UnitedHealth to me, they really remind me of Google in that when you take a look at Google's stock price movement prior to some of their court cases ruling in their favor, they used to trade flat and their PE ratio was literally a 12, 13, 14, 15. It wasn't until they had some of those rulings go in their favor, their stock price started to go up to the moon. With UnitedHealth, they have a lot of stuff up in the air right now, a lot of headwinds, a lot of pending regulatory probing. So that's what's keeping their stock price low. But I think once all of that is over and it's behind them in the rearview mirror, they'll be okay. Case in point, when you take a look at Johnson & Johnson, this is a company that's hit with scandal after scandal after scandal. I think their most recent one was associated with the baby powder causing cancer or the painkiller addiction. I mean, that really suppressed their stock price as well, right? But after they paid out the lawsuits and it eventually became old news, even J&J rebounded and rallied to new all-time highs. I think it's going to take some time for UnitedHealth, but they'll get there. So if you're curious about why I made 1/4 of my portfolio allocated towards UnitedHealth, you got to watch my deep dive videos that I made about them. The next company that we are going to be grading and then ranking is Salesforce. Ticker symbol CRM. Current trading multiple is a 35. Forward trading multiple is a 20. $260 a share year to date. Negative 22%. And that's because there's this whole misconception of people thinking that because they're a software enterprise, they're going to be obsolete because of AI. But friends and family, I think in 5 years from now, people will talk about how undervalued Salesforce was in 2025. They're going to be like, dude, why didn't I jump in? And I say that because in 5 years from now, dude, they're not going to be $250. They're going to be like $400, $500, $600 a share. That's not financial advice. It's just what I think, right? So it's not going to be a stock that's compounding based on narratives and hype. They're eating everyone's lunch, breakfast, dinner, and the leftovers in the fridge. This is a very high quality compounder, and they currently make up about 9 or 10% of my portfolio. I've been buying big into Salesforce on the dips and their future trajectory with Agentforce, allowing their platform to operate autonomously without even needing an entry-level employee to do the data crunching. I feel pretty bullish. I know I'm going to catch some heat for this, but they're kind of like Microsoft. They make strategic acquisitions in order to continue driving the ship in an upward, up and to the right manner. And when I say they remind me of Microsoft, I'm talking about Microsoft in 2010 up until 2018, when Microsoft used to be boring, when Microsoft was not sexy. Because I think right now, Salesforce, they're making the small and correct steps into becoming the next Mag 7. Again, a very controversial take. But having said all of that, Salesforce, the GARP formula says they should be $323 a share. They're $259 right now. They're massively undervalued. Their economic moat's super wide. Their financials and fundamentals are really strong. So what I'm going to do right now is bump up Amazon into the A tier and then move Salesforce to take their spot, because Amazon, I think they're really undervalued. Their financials look good. The cheese factor, their economic moat is probably the best on this list, besides maybe Nvidia. I think the reason why I initially had them in the B tier was because of their stock performance, but that's not one of the criteria metrics, right? And that's why retroactively, let's just go ahead and correct our wrongs. And I was wrong. Amazon's in the A tier. The next company is Adobe, and just like Salesforce, it's a software company responsible for the PDF documents, but also creative products to edit and produce images and videos. I use Adobe every single day because I'm a YouTuber, right? They also went on a massive sell-off this year. They're currently $355 a share, but their valuation is ridiculously low. A 21, and the forward trading multiple is a 15. Wall Street's basically pricing Adobe as if they're not growing, as if they're dying in the hands of AI, because AI is going to make images and videos for us in the future. So why would anyone want to pay for Photoshop or Premiere Pro? Just let the numbers do the talking. Their revenue, has it ever been stagnant? Has it ever decreased? No. Every single year, in a reliable and predictable fashion, it goes up at a double-digit rate. Does it look like AI's out here to eat their lunch? No, this is not a company that's allergic to AI. As a matter of fact, whenever there's a software update to Premiere Pro, there's new AI features being integrated into their software and platform. And they just announced a partnership with ChatGPT in that when you ask OpenAI to do this or create an image of that, they can use an Adobe product in order to make that. They're partnering with AI. And it's not just ChatGPT. I think they're also partnering with Gemini as well. And the GARP formula says that Adobe should be $488 a share. Between you and me, I think their sell-off was way overblown. They weren't selling off because a decline in their metrics and financials. They were selling off because of the what ifs. Because Wall Street had it wrong and they're saying AI made them obsolete. But that's not what the data and the numbers suggest. The facts are there that they're still thriving and growing in the movement of AI because they're integrating AI. They are a part of AI. I think Adobe right now, they're severely undervalued. Now, obviously, I could be wrong. That wasn't financial advice, but it's a business that I would love to own in my portfolio for the right price. Now, if you want to know what price, that's up on the Patreon. So when it comes to giving them a grade, dude, it's getting really crowded in the B tier. I think some companies either need to go up or they need to come down. And after thinking about it for a while, I can't justify anyone coming down. I did think about pushing Google into the A tier, but as a reminder, they're fairly valued right now. 50% of the formula has weighting towards that, and so they're not undervalued, so I think they should stay put in the B tier. Now, the next company that we are going to be covering is Disney. Currently trading for $111 a share year to date. They're flat. Their PE ratio is a 16, forward trading multiple is a 16. Take a look at their revenue. It's finally growing after stagnating during the pandemic, and that's because they also operate hotels, resorts, and amusement parks. They're not just Disney Plus. Speaking of which, when you think about their streaming platform, it's only 6 years old. And I think it has so much potential to be the next Netflix because think about their intellectual property. They have Zootopia, Toy Story, Finding Nemo, Marvel characters like Deadpool and X-Men. I think at this point we're all sick of the Avengers. Stop making Avengers movies. But Deadpool and X-Men, I think there's more room to go with them. And then also Lucasfilms, which is obviously the studio production company responsible for Star Wars. You take a look at the potential for Disney, dude, I get so bullish. And they're also a majority owner of ESPN. But unfortunately, when it comes to Disney, I think they do make some questionable calls by making their content very political. And so it divides the aisle and alienating like half of the potential customer base. I think they took that from the Target playbook, right? I think if they were to stay more neutral, kind of like Netflix, I think the potential for them would be brighter. But because of the execution and being so political in their content, as a business owner, that would make me uncomfortable. Like, guys, do we really have to do this type of messaging here? But when I think about Disney, it really reminds me of like a Filipino or a Vietnamese dude with like huge calves, but he chooses not to work out. It's like, dude, if you worked out, you would have a gigantic legs and you would be jacked. So I think there's a lot of potential there, but I think this is where it goes into the cheese factor. I think with their leadership, especially with the scandals and the setbacks they have had with some of their movie releases in the past like 5 years, they could have earned more at the box office if they didn't get so darn political. And sometimes it's not just Disney's fault. Sometimes it's the leading actress or actor's fault for what they do and say on social media. So with all that in mind, the GARP formula says they should be 126. They're like 110, 111, so they are undervalued, but the cheese factor is where they get some demerits. So I think Disney's going to be in the C tier because of that. I think if they stay neutral, apolitical, and they create magic and beautiful content, I think they easily be in the B or A tier. But because of the whole political back and forth game they play, it's hard to feel bullish about them, right? They have so much potential, but the way that they navigate and their optics, it puts a bad taste in my mouth, and it makes me fearful because 50% of the people will literally hate whatever they produce. I think it's more than fair to leave them in the C tier, but between Netflix and Disney, I think if Disney adjusts their game plan to what I just said, I would buy Disney right now. and I would buy a lot of it. But who knows what direction they're going to go in. So C tier it is, and I would rather buy Netflix, because with Netflix, I don't have to worry about, after you spent $400 million on this film, will it flop because of the political messaging and agenda, or their actress going on record by saying some really dodgy things? I don't have to worry about that. And company number 19 is going to be The Trade Desk. It's an open internet advertising platform. So if you're trying to sell a pair of socks, they'll make sure that those advertisements goes in front of the right eyes. That way you can make more sales for your socks. And between you and me, I've already uploaded so many freaking videos about The Trade Desk on the channel. And I'll just say one sentence. I'm really bullish. Okay, I went in big, and if you want to know why I put my money where my mouth is, go watch the most recent video that I uploaded about The Trade Desk. They're currently trading for $37 a share. Their forward trading multiple is an 18.9. Year to date, negative 68%. Wall Street's essentially pricing them for death, no growth, and this company is about to be belly up. But when you just take a look at their just the top line, does it look like this company's going to croak anytime soon? That's all I want to ask. So when it comes to The Trade Desk, the GARP formula says that they should be valued at $72 a share. They're about half of that right now, right? I love their future. I'm bullish about them, and they're absolutely undervalued. So I'm going to put them right next to UnitedHealth Group. Two companies that I own, huge potential. They're both beaten up badly right now, undervalued, dare I say. And company number 20 is going to be Duolingo. It's an education app to learn a new language, chess, music, or even math. Right now, they're trading for $185 a share, and I don't know if you're in the know, but I already covered this company in depth, so I'll reserve my tongue. Their forward trading multiple is a 47.5. $185, and according to the GARP formula, Duolingo should be valued at $191. So they're fairly valued. Some people say they're undervalued. I disagree. Go watch my deep dive video as to why I have such an extreme opinion. So when it comes to Duolingo, I would rather buy Duolingo than Tesla. And I am personally not bullish about their future. I think the numbers that they're executing right now, pretty impressive. I'm not going to lie. But I will say it again. I do not think they are undervalued. And I would argue they do not have an economic mode. So they would be in the D tier or F tier, but I don't think it's fair to drop them because they do have some excellent financials and fundamentals. It's just their future, I don't buy into the hype. Well, I guess we could do this. I think with Tesla, it makes zero sense. Their financials and fundamentals don't match up to their valuation. They're overvalued. And by bumping Tesla down to the F tier, that makes room for Duolingo to be in the D tier. And I think it makes absolute sense. Duolingo, D for Duolingo. So now that we have ranked 20 popular stocks based on two criteria metrics, GARP valuation, are they undervalued, are they overvalued, and then the cheese factor, well, I think we have 4 companies that are in the A tier. We have NVIDIA, Microsoft, Meta, and Amazon. And before I elevate one into the S tier, hear me out. When it comes to the Mag 7, they usually take turns outperforming one another. In one year, one of them could be the king. And in the next year, they could be trash. Case in point, when you look at the Mag 7, Google for the longest time, they were an underperformer. And then they had their little outbreak. Microsoft, the exact same situation. And dare I remind you of 2022 when Meta went on that huge sell-off where they reached like $80 a share. They're currently $650, right? They take turns outperforming one another. When you look at Amazon, they stick out to me. The past 5 years, they've been underperforming the Mag 7, not because of their operations, not because of their business, not because of their financials. They're crushing, they're executing, but because of the regulatory probing and all of the pending lawsuits surrounding the company. Year to date, they also stick out for me. 3.6% into the green. So what I'm thinking is, who's next in line to have an outperforming year? I think eventually Amazon's time is coming. They have so many exciting ventures where they're just printing cash in all areas of their lines of business, where it's hard to feel bearish about them. And at this point, almost every American household, they have a Prime membership. I think Amazon, their business model and their future, super bullish. Even if they break up and they turn into different businesses, I would still be bullish, because if you're an Amazon shareholder, you would get shares of that other business or company, the spinoff. So if I had to elevate one, it would be Amazon. I think most of you are gravitating towards NVIDIA, but here's the thing. Right now, they're the kings of the AI chips, their GPUs, but AMD's catching up. Broadcom and Marvell, they're also catching up. And historically, the semiconductor chip space, it's really cyclical. There's highs and lows. Whereas with Amazon, I see them as like Berkshire Hathaway. It's a conglomerate that's diversified to the point where I'm so bullish on like 30 different things. If you want to know why I elevated them into the S tier, please go and watch the deep dive video that I made about Amazon. And after filming for 2 hours and 20 minutes, I'm absolutely exhausted. We made it to the end, friends and family. What do you think? What would you have done differently? Who belongs in a different grade tier? Who should have been a part of this conversation? Let me know if you want to see an episode 3. If not, I think we can leave it as it is. Maybe it's perfect. And as a reminder, if you want to run your favorite stock through the GARP formula calculator, join the Patreon and you'll also find the spreadsheet there. You can plug and chug whatever company you want. Now, having said that, thanks for spending all that time with me. I hope you enjoyed it, learned a thing or two. I'll talk to you next time. Stay safe and good luck in the stock market. Peace. I also wanted to give a special shout out to Ray. Thank you so much for the Christmas gifts from the Amazon registry list. Dude, we appreciate you so much. Thank you.